You might have heard me say, is there a TV on the background? I heard some background noise. So I want to make sure that we are got it going correctly. Jan's got all the instruments up and running, all the technology. You know, sometimes that gets a little crazy, but good morning, everyone. It is Wealth Wellness Wednesday. Can you believe it's already Wednesday of this week? It's another sunny day. We're excited about that. But good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, as we said. This is Carol, aka Naughty Boss, live with two
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, with a messy kind of do going on here. Just pull that back a little bit. Got my 2 workouts in. That always makes me feel great. Get the day going, get that, that blood pumping, and, get some good oxygen flowing. Now, I want to say something to everybody. There's a lot of shit going on.
She's got that look. I love it.
There's a lot of shit going on. So yeah, if you could see my look, as many people know, I am I would say the quieter sister.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I would concur with that.
Yeah. What the flippity flip. And I'm just going to say one word: masquerade, you schmuckaroos.
Yeah, I actually have a new name for Massachusetts, and it's pretty sad. You know, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a liberal state. So let's be clear. We're not here to change. I mean, of course, yeah, you would like to change the dynamics of that, but they're historically a liberal state, so that is what it is. But there are significant conservative areas that do not want politics mixing in with school, and that's exactly what is occurring. And a lot of parents say, oh, in the beginning, just can we try to leave politics out of it? And if people were actually working for the voices that have no voice, which is the children, and they had good intentions, that would be a no-brainer, right? But because because children are being used, and child abuse is being embedded within the school system and using children as pawns for a political game. And it's a political chess game. That's what's going on. And this is occurring all over the United States. So we're not going to just single out Massachusetts. It is happening everywhere, predominantly in blue states. I don't choose that. The public doesn't choose that. The data supports that most of the coronavirus pandemic aftermath propaganda that just keeps pouring in. So imagine this, that you are living in a district within Massachusetts and you have 1, 2, possibly 3 cases. 1, 2, 3, possibly 3 cases that you feel it's not only necessary to push forward with the state mandate of the diaper across the face, but what we've now found out is they also want to social distance children 3 feet apart. They're going to have assigned seating, assigned desks that's where they have to eat their lunch. However, the dangling carrot, which I got to find a carrot because I'm going to so use that in the meeting tonight that I'm attending. There's a lot to say about a carrot in health and wellness in many ways. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's a dangle. So I'm specifically talking about not the healthy version of a carrot. I'm going to be talking about the dangling of a carrot. But any event, do they actually think the public is buying this nonsense when you have 2 or 3 cases within a district? And I'm not saying that there are pockets, but you have to look at it. And, Governor Baker boldly announces proudly that this state is now 80% vaccinated, and yet their hospital rate, where the little bit of a rise that they're talking about, over 70% of that are vaccinated individuals that are the ones that are hospitalized. Although they will have you have such a way of skewing the data, but isn't that so political, right? Skewing the data. People are so good at skewing the data. But any event, the fact that children are being used as political pawns in such a child abuse scam, because this is a scam, to make children wear a mask for 6 hours plus when the science does not support it. And then on top of that, let's add salt to the wound. And now you're going to tell them they have to be 3 feet apart. What the flippity flip is going on?
I got to say something. Okay, this is really firing me up, and I'll tell you why. Whenever you ask a far left and these people that make these flipping mandates, and you know what, sidebar mandates, we'll just quietly do that for the viewers who can see what I just did. Show me the science, show me the data that says that that mandate is warranted.
And 1 out of 9, let me make that clear. There was only one member of a board of 9 that voted against, because he said that very thing. He talked about the political ideology that's being infiltrated into our school systems. So for those parents that really hold on tight, see, conservatives are a little bit different. Conservative mindset, and even independents, they don't have the alliance to that party. So much so that they're unwilling to sacrifice themselves or the common sense brain cells for sake of party, where a liberal and a Democrat will hold on to that party so tight, and even though they know they're wrong, they still come together. And that's a problem. So this particular gentleman that was on the state board of health, a state board of education within the state, voted against it because, again, he went back to the science. He didn't like the political agenda interjection with the end game of being the vax, because in addition to masking, they want 80% of all high schoolers and staff to be vaccinated in order for them to open up fully with no restrictions. Like, when did the school system and government have such an interjection on medical and health without consulting? And they say that they consult their health officials, but in the district of Dudley Charlton, the town board, the board of health from the town of Charlton flatly disagrees. This district only has a few cases, and it does not warrant masks, never mind social distancing on top of that. So the carrot that they're dangling is October 1st. Now, generally speaking, October 1st is a significant date because that is when they determine the enrollment for funding for the next year. Now, in this case, we did find out that the state, how convenient, the state is not going to penalize those that the school districts that they're losing enrollment due to these, and that the parents have decided they're going to homeschool because they're not going to have their child be part of a child abuse political pawn game that is going on. So it won't impact from a financial standpoint. Furthermore, a lot of these districts are getting funding. Kind of almost reminds me of the infrastructure. You know, we have the infrastructure bill, just to go offside for a second. We have an infrastructure bill that only 25% actually has to do with infrastructure. The rest is just a bunch of pork induced garbage. Well, the state of Massachusetts is doing the same thing. So they give districts and schools COVID money, COVID relief money. Well, so when I hear of that, I would think that they would utilize that funding for better ventilation, because we know that some schools are older and they really need to update their ventilation, which that's a good thing. Maybe implement air conditioning with a good filtration system would be a good thing. Maybe attacking the data that supports that many children of all age groups are suffering now from acute mental illness issues due to this communist attitude of masking and not being able to see their friends' faces in school or their teachers. So why are we not putting some money towards mental health? But you know what they're using it for? They're using it to buy very questionable teaching programs. And let's just add salt to the wound. They're also interjecting that to get information for current events, it's going to come from CNN, and they're going to have like CNN in the classroom or some garbage, which we're trying to get to the bottom of that. And but there's no political interjection going on here, right? There's no infiltration of a political, because everyone keeps saying, what's the end game? You say October 1st, that is when they're supposed to reevaluate to decide whether they're going to continue with the mask, right? And when we know that's a bunch of bull, because, you know, once you comply, folks, once you start losing your rights, so a lot of parents are saying, well, I'm going to send my kid without the mask. I don't care what the state mandate is. I'm not going to, and rightfully so. And why should I have to have the burden of supplying a diaper uniform that the end game has to do with socialism and communism, comply, control? This is not about health and wellness. This has nothing to do about a virus. When you've got 2 or 3 cases, who are you trying to kid? So this state, you know, is predominantly lower in numbers, but ironically, the numbers in the hospital are those that are vaccinated, because this is a very high vaccinated state. So that is my tear on health and wellness, because guess what? When you are dealing with this kind of shit, these parents are now, you know, we're helping out some families with setting up classrooms within their homes, making sure that they have, you know, they have to have approved curriculum to not send their child. There's a process of unenrolling your child. Really? The first day of school is what happened to the good old days when parents got together, the kids all lined up for the bus, and you had a mimosa party after with champagne and breakfast stuff, and, you know, the rite of passage for children to go off to school to learn with trusted individuals. You can't trust anybody within the school districts. You really can't. And the other powerless piece to it is the teachers that don't want to do this. You know, they didn't get in there to be a communist czar that's got to implement and make sure that, you know, Johnny's got his mask over his nose. That is not what they signed up for. They signed up to teach children, to make productive individuals grow up to be productive adults, to represent our country, to serve in positions that we need leadership. But they're going to be too focused on the whole mask. So they say they're going to review it October 1st. We know that's a bunch of bull crapola, because they're not. The commissioner is going to come up with that it's got to be extended. You know, the public is onto them. But sadly, the second piece to this, and then I'm going to let you share your thoughts, is the public has got to get their own shista together. You can't say that you don't want A, B, and C for your children, and yet sit back and let a handful of parents or stakeholders or grandparents do all the work. Like, we already know that we, within a couple groups that we have spies in our group. They got nothing better to do. They screenshot stuff and they send it on to the school committee. So I did a live last night within the group and said, basically, like, from my perspective, screenshot all my shit all you want. I do not care, because there's nothing that I say within that group that I do not firmly believe, and that I wouldn't say to their faces, and I plan to say to their faces tonight. It's gonna probably get a little hairy, in the sense of the school board is not going to like what they're going to hear, what the people have to say. But guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. All your little flippity stupid rules and your gavel this, gavel that. Well, gavel this, gavel the finger, because the finger is going to point the finger where it belongs to, and the sole responsibility of the health and wellness of children in these particular districts in the state of Massachusetts. We're coming for you. We are coming for you with our hearts, our passion to speak for those that cannot speak, and that is the children.
Well said. And those are probably the same flipping morons that drive around in their cars by themselves, I might add, wearing a flipping diaper on their face. Now, while I respect everyone's right to wear a diaper on their face, a mask, whatever you want to call it, some of them are very fashionable and very cutesy and go with outfits. I wish somebody can answer this question for me. Why do you wear your mask alone in your car? Why? I just want to know why. I'm curious. Just curious.
You know what I would say to that? Well, if you feel like there's that many germs, which we already know, I mean, you could think of many germ-infested pieces of property that we own. The inside of your car is one. Your pocketbook, your wallet, your keys, your cell phone, your devices. Are you cleaning them on a regular basis? So they are filled with germs. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you're a filthy human being, although there are many people, if you were looking in the car, you would automatically know that they're a filthy human being by the garbage and trash that's in their car wrappers. Another thing that I'd like to point out, and this happened last week, an individual that I know, was preaching about boo-hoo, your kids have to wear a mask. And also, I'm a frontliner and people are dying. Really? Go continue to smoke your cigarettes and drink yourself into oblivion because you have no credibility when you are lecturing people on health and wellness. If you're in a Burger King line, if you're smoking cigarettes, if you're going out drinking without mask on, wearing your little fashion statement, you don't have the right or the luxury to lecture somebody else on health and wellness and informational, factual data information regarding this virus. You're not credible. I laugh so frequently. I was in Target in Millbury, Mass, just the other day. And obviously, getting some school supplies and, doing whatever. And a woman was on her cell phone, an overweight woman, mind you, on her cell phone, cart full of Cheetos, like devil dog type desserts. I'm a people watcher, and I love looking at what people have in their cart if I'm just kind of hanging around waiting, in line. So she had a lot of unhealthy food within her cart. And as she was walking by, she's talking to somebody on the phone. I cannot believe, I must be out of my mind. This is her exact quote. I must be out of my mind to be in the store with people not wearing masks. I must be out of my mind. And I thought to myself, yeah, you are really out of your mind. I would go back. First of all, I would be a polite person and put back all the unhealthy food that you're currently giving to your kids or yourself. I'm not sure which. It's okay. We talk about all the time to have those treats. But when the percentage of unhealthy treats outweighs the healthy treats or the healthy food, that's a problem. So again, you are a person that I would find not credible to get any information, data, and or have a conversation with about the virus, because you're concerned about what people are wearing over their faces. Are you concerned about what you're sticking inside your mouth or your kid's mouth? So when you can answer that and be accountable for that, or for those that are, like, I was a former smoker. I smoked for many years. I would never consider myself a heavy duty smoker. I was one of those, like, more of a social smoker. But once I realized, and of course, back then when we started smoking cigarettes, we didn't have the health and wellness knowledge that we do today. And so what I would say to those that are puffing their cigarettes, overindulging in alcohol, overweight, wait in line at Burger King or McDonald's or whatever favorite fast food crapola joint you want to hang out at, take a look in the mirror and be accountable. Because until you clean up your own shista within your own body and your own family's body, you do not have the right to talk to somebody else that is thinking about health and wellness, but also has the fortitude to do their own due diligence to find out the facts and the data. There's a big difference. Spew in your mouth with a butt hanging out of your mouth or a devil dog hanging out the other end. Do not lecture me. I'll lecture you any day of the week. And I've got that right because I've got the data that supports it. I follow common sense, science. You are eating chemicals, smoking your chemical and filled cigarettes. Oh, and let's add the old Dunkin' Donut coffee, which I was a former Dunkin' Donut coffee person until I realized, that if you're drinking organic coffee or whatever, you get a pass from me. But those that are drinking Dunkin' Donuts or what's the other one? Starbucks, there's a lot of chemicals in that crap. So again, that doesn't give you the authority to, lecture other people on the diaper. You're not credible.
Credibility, I think, has gone out the window, and that's why I think many people can't even stand to hear false Fauci anymore, because the goalpost keeps moving. Follow the science, follow the science. It's all about politics. To me, it's not about the pandemic or however people are referring to it. It is about control. It is about socialism. I'm really sick of it. I really am.
And I think most people are, and it does impact your health and wellness. So how do you balance that? You balance that when you take a stand, that you do your own due diligence, you collect as much data that you can to support that. And you have to realize that, no, it's not about compromise. It's not, from a perspective of parents that are going up against school boards, they're asking to be partners with the school boards. But sadly, school boards think that they're so, it's all about the power, but they've lost sight of why they decided to run for these positions. And some of them are more in love with the gavel for 30 plus years than actually doing the work for and representing those voices that can't be heard. And when you lose that perspective, when you lose that insight of why you're doing what you're doing, and you become accomplice of this political propaganda chain of events that is really pushing an agenda along with the teachers unions and whatnot, you're not in it for the right reason. And it's time. It's okay to say, you know what, I've done my service, and I'm not discounting that. Probably a good part of the years they were in it for the right reasons. But those that have been in it for over 30 years, you've lost that. You've lost the spark of why you chose to represent a district or children as a whole. You've lost that. And it's time for you to go, bye, bye, bye.
There's a lot of people that should be going bye, bye, bye. And my list is getting longer by the day. And if you're on that list, you don't want to be on that list. Let's just say, leave it at that, and I'll be nice and kind.
And that, you know what, and you can be so passionate in your beliefs, but there's, you don't want to go in there. And I tell this to parents all the time, you don't want to go in there. You go in there firm and with passion, but you don't want to go in there like a cray person either. You don't want to go in there yelling and screaming. You can raise your voice and be firm because you're passionate, but don't, at the end game, that old saying about the nice guy always finishes last is true. And there's a reason for that, because it's got to be the nice guy at the end of the day that is mentally able to be able to decipher what's right and what is not right, what is right and what is wrong, and still be able to hold their head up high. Those that are in it for the wrong reasons will fight you to the death and will be miserable and snarky and rude and arrogant, because that's all they know to position themselves to further whether it's their career, whether it's their mission, whether it's their ideology, their political beliefs, whatever it may be. But at the end game, we know that the nice guy does finish last. And I have no problem with that. I will finish last because I know when I walk out of something that I've done my due diligence to do it the correct way, to be passionate. But also, you can call people out and make them accountable and still be nice at the same time. It's a happy balance, but it's a necessity balance in order for you to know that when you walked out, you gave it your all, that you gave it your best shot. And sometimes not winning every war or every battle is going to help you win out the almighty war. You got to take the losses with the wins, and that's okay. As long as you do it with respect, with integrity, with as much factual data that you have. Those are your weapons. Those are your tools. Use them to your advantage, and don't be afraid to call people out. Just do it respectfully.
Absolutely. Winning isn't everything. It's about what is right in your heart. Do you know what's right in your heart? Is what you're researching. Do you have the data to back up your position on something? It's all about doing the right thing, which, by the way, may not be popular. On that note, my name is Janice, AKA Wellness Diva 5.0, and I am with two
Sistas, and this is Carol Sue, AKA Naughty Boss. I will come live to you tomorrow with some great information of what's trending after tonight's very important meeting tonight, where we are going to practice what we preach. We're going to go in there with kindness, with force. It's a force to be reckoned with, but it's going to be done with the utmost respect, passion, and really speaking for those that can't, which is the children. If you need help in any of that kind of situation of how to deal with school committee, whatever, we are here to help you out. But we will see you tomorrow for Trending Thursday. You have a great day, everyone. I intend to.
Bye, everyone.